Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of Area 312. I'm one of your hosts, Kent, along with my co host,
Mike.
And friends, today we are welcoming back the one and only from the brave Stayce Roberts. Hey, Stayce, how are you, buddy?
I am doing great, guys. How are you? Good to be with you.
Great.
Good. Yeah.
Always a good time having you. Always a pleasure. And thanks for coming back.
Absolutely.
And friends, today we have Stayce back, not just because we like him, but because the Brave on Thanksgiving, they dropped, Stayce has always been a giving person. This is the guy right here, friends. When the vinyl, those who pre-ordered, when the vinyl was delayed, Stayce shipped everybody a CD. So this is the man right here. So he gifted us on Thanksgiving with Christmas Every Day. It's the new Christmas single from the Brave. And we just wanted to talk to Stayce about that. So let's just dive right in. Stayce, let me start out. I just have to say that for starters, I love the cover.
Thank you.
For different reasons. And one of the things I'd like to ask, so to me, that is Evie. That looks like Evie on the cover.
Yeah, it's Evie.
Awesome. And so I guess you could say we've got Evie from Evie's Little Garden, and then we have Christmas Evie, and now she's Christmas Eve, right?
Christmas Eve. I love it.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that.
Yep. Christmas Eve to Christmas Eve. And then you get Christmas
Eve.
Every day. So, Stayce, I'd like to ask, and to me, it's like the Brave kind of has a mascot now.
Well,
talk to me about Eve. Does the Brave have a
first
mascot?
off, you still got me on Christmas Eve. I can't believe I didn't think about that. I'm the creative guy, right? And I didn't even think about that. You had to crack the code. Yeah, we're going to be in cahoots with our graphic designer because we love the way that he works. And, I think for those that know the history of the band, you all know that we are not fans of our first album cover. We love the second one because David Bach did that for us from Guardian. He was also a really skilled graphic designer. And then with Rise, we put something together to get it out there, but we really wanted to step up our game. And finding this guy, he was the first guy that we tried, and he was just wonderful. And it's the kind of thing where we've had an ongoing relationship. And I told him that we were going to release this single, but that the single was really just a precursor to our full-length Christmas album that'll come out next holiday season, next year in 2022. I don't know what the album will be called yet. I am floating a title of another song that I'm already writing that's really going to highlight John and Malcolm, called The Drums of Christmas. And oh man, that's a barn burner. You'll like that one. For those that haven't heard Evie's, it's not like what you would expect. It's more of a reggae kind of thing. But the three of us, we've got so many influences, from Zeppelin to the Beatles, all the way up to Guardian and Stryper. And I mean, we've absorbed a lot of music in our time. But one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that people, because this doesn't sound like typical Brave, we wanted something that was going to be a common thread that would let people know that it's still us, same people that did Evie's Little Garden. And so we thought, well, what better way than to bring Evie along? And so our designer's name is Hisham Hamzi. And I told Hisham that, hey, incorporate Evie and see what you can do. Just like he did on Evie's Little Garden, it was the first draft. So we did make one minor change. We had her hold a snow globe because the lyrics, talk about, I'm walking along these city streets and all these things that I'm observing that I love about life, especially during the holidays. And so she's looking into the globe and she's seeing all this stuff, right? And we're not going to have a mascot like Eddie from Iron Maiden. This is probably the last time people will see Evie's unless we incorporate her in because I don't know what the album cover is going to be for the Christmas record, because I don't know what we're going to call it yet. Yeah, I've probably got half the songs written already, and I'll probably be cutting them in July to get them ready for the next holiday season. But it will be a full-length album, and you may see Evie there. But now you got my head spinning with this Christmas Eve thing. That's hilarious. So, but yeah, that is Evie.
We could have she could be Evie Maiden. You
I
know,
love it. I love
Like,
it. Probably get a
well,
little flack for that, but I like it.
I see a kiss beneath the mistletoe, and an angel on every Christmas tree.
so Stayce, what prompted the Christmas single? How long have you been working on the idea for a Christmas album and the Christmas single?
Well, it wasn't anything that I was like meditating on, or I didn't feel like it was something that I had to do, but I did feel like last Christmas season, you know, we were already working on EVs, so we were in pre-production for that. And Malcolm and John and I were talking, because we do meetings like this, where we just sit around and kind of spin some ideas around like that.
Mm-hmm.
And John had mentioned that, you know, we should do a Christmas album. And I said, well, if we were to do that, the only stipulation would be no covers, because 90% of people, because of the short amount of time that a Christmas album is played, you know, it's only played from right after Thanksgiving until Christmas. It doesn't have a long lifespan. You know, EVs is still selling like firecrackers, and it's been out for 4 months. And there's a lot of people just finding out about it. You know, I mean, guys like you guys are helping us out just by getting the word out there that there's this album out there that's, you know, it's making a little bit of noise. But I told him my only stipulation was, especially since I write all the songs, I would not allow us to do a Christmas record unless we could bring something new for our listeners. You know, I don't want you guys to hear how we would do Jingle Bells, or, you know, the only exception would be Striper's Winter Wonderland. I love that. I thought, and Bride did some pretty cool stuff on their album. Even though they did covers, they made them, you know, sound original. But I didn't want to sound original. I wanted to do something, and no slag on anybody. I don't care what kind of Christmas album somebody decides to put out. If it blesses somebody, then I'm all for it. But I don't spend a lot of time having to write songs. I'm fortunate that I'm kind of like a conduit, in that when I sit down to play, whatever's going to come out, that's what's coming out that day. And I get a lot of songs like that. I mean, every song that I've written has never taken more than 15 or 20 minutes. You know, Just a Man and Waiting, as I told you in our last interview, and Big World were all written in the same night. It's still like that for me, but I have to have cool playmates. And now that I got John and Malcolm back, it's, you know, the next album will anywhere from 8 to 10 songs. I don't really know how many yet, because we're so committed to bringing some quality music and extending the legacy of the Brave, because I never wanted it to end not on our terms. And it's anything but over right now. I've got so much stuff in the pipeline right now, written for Gravedigger, which is going to be the next album, as you guys well know. As a matter of fact, you guys have the demo that I sent to you today. So,
yep. And it rocks, friends. It rocks. It really does.
Thanks,
We've heard two demo songs, and the Brave are going to knock it out of the park again. So, well,
it's going to be a little different. You know, it's going to be a little different, but I am going to put a focus on some really good Christmas songs that'll, you know, when you listen to Christmas Every Day, it's a reggae influenced things, and we're all Bob Marley fans. We all love that kind of feel, and we can all play multiple styles. So when I sent it to the guys, they didn't even know what to expect. They said, "You guys got your reggae hats on," and nobody got more fired up than John, because John was like, and Malcolm complained when he was done. He goes, "Dude, I haven't had blisters on my fingers like this in years." Because if you listen to the bass line, it's very Paul McCartney-ish. It's all over the place. But John just had a heyday. He goes, "Is it okay if I go off at the end?" And I go, "I would expect nothing less, brother."
If this is what the good Lord had in mind, then I wish it was Christmas every day.
I got to be honest. When I first started listening to it, you know, I don't know what I was expecting, but when it started playing, I was kind of like, huh?
Tilting your head like when you talk to an animal, it's trying to figure out what you're saying. You're like,
so.
But when the lead guitar part started kicking in, I was like, oh, this I like now.
Well,
definitely. So,
thank you.
So
that was a
Stayce,
nice touch. So
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Have you heard of Christafari?
I have not. Oh, wait, who is it?
Christafari?
No.
Well, they came out in like 1994 on Goatee Records, which was Toby McKeon's record label.
Okay.
But they were reggae a reggae band that were Christian.
Mhm.
And they did a really good job of it. And then some of them splintered off and formed a band called Temple Yard. But point is I love Bob Marley stuff. I love reggae stuff. So I'm jiving to it, man. I mean, I'm it's good stuff. But I do want to ask, what sparked the initial idea to marry the reggae rhythm with the Christmas theme?
It comes back to whenever I sit down to play. I mean, as we were talking earlier, I'm in my studio right now. You can see over here some of my favorite toys to play with. I got my piano in the back, and I also, you can't see it, but right in front of my hands, right down here, I've got a big controller, which is where I program most of my keyboards and things like that, or things that parts I'll come up with, my drums, stuff when I sketch things out. So I'll sketch out from beginning to end all the sections of a song with what's right here. But when I cut like my soundscapes, which you're going to hear a lot more ethereal things on the next record that are going to come from that guy back there, which my lovely wife Janet got for me, as well as that red Les Paul that you can't see because it's a little dark, but
I see it back there.
yeah, it's just waiting.
Yeah, I'm sitting there salivating over it.
What sparked it was I was trying out new keyboard sounds. I'm always getting new gear. I'm always getting new, it's either guitar amps that are virtual. I just picked up the new Andy James guitar module. And I've got several of the things from STL Tones, which is one of my favorites. I've also got a new Soldano, which is my go-to. That and a 5150 model. I used it a little bit on the last album, but this album is going to be full-fledged, full of new guitars, of which I've got 2 new ones over there, new keyboards, which back here, and new software. So I've got a lot of amps, a lot of keyboard things. And when I was checking out some of the sounds on one of the new modules I got, I started playing, and what you hear on, when I hear something, I react to it immediately, right? And I think a lot of guys that I know are like that. But I was playing these chords, and exactly what you hear at the beginning of Christmas Every Day, that's what was playing on a patch that I always show my wife things. So I'll always say, hey, Janet, come check this out. What do you think of this? And she'll give me either this or this. So far, I've only gotten like to hear. She's never said no to anything, but she will tell me, well, could you say this, that? And she's got a great ear. She's not a musician, but man, she's got a musician's ear. It's different for like Mike, because Mike, you play. So for you listen to things, I think, with a different perspective or a different counterpoint. When you hear something, the music's actually speaking a different thing to you, because you're going, well, what key's it in? Or that's a cool time signature. Whereas Kent, I don't know if you play Kent, but if you don't, you still good when you hear it. There's different kinds of musicians. Some are listeners, some are participants. It's like sports. I don't play football, but it's a good thing, because the Cowboys killed me on Thanksgiving.
I used to be in a couple little bands back in the day, but that's well in my past. So,
but you have enough background to know that you can tell you can tell if something's in key.
Sure.
Tell if somebody doesn't have a range when they sing or whatnot. So what sparks all of my ideas, and this is not just for Christmas Every Day, but every one of my ideas is whatever I'm playing, and then you just start vamping over it. For me, since I sing also, I'll start singing something, and the very first thing I was like, I walk alone, and every city street. It was 5 minutes, and I knew where I was going to go with it. And but I put it on hold. And then when I told the guys, I go, we need to get a Christmas single out before, if we can drop it on Thanksgiving, that would be a really neat little thing. Maybe we'll send it out to everyone on our mailing list, which we did today, as I was telling you earlier. And we send it out for free, because these are the folks that support us and, keep us relevant. And that's how the song came about. I just, all the songs, Just a Man, I sat down and I had it immediately. So I think the key thing is you sit down and play and see if you're throwing stuff up against the wall to see if anything's going to stick. The songwriting part of you tells you whether or not it's stickable or not.
Yeah.
Then you go get verification. You go grab your wife and you go, well, what do you think of this? And
Well,
if she believes it should be fleshed out, then I flesh it out, and then I'll send it to the guys. And ultimately, it comes down to if they think it's good.
Well, I mean, it's really neat because it does have that reggae influence. I mean, think about Jamaica from Led Zeppelin.
One of my favorite Zeppelin songs, if
One of
not my
mine too.
favorite. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it is, and it's a rockin' hard rock song, proto metal, but it's got that Jamaican, that reggae beat to it. So anyway, but yes, that's what's nice about Christmas every day. It's got that reggae rhythm. It's got the Christmas theme, and then Stayce, you have those Bon Jovi-esque type vocals that are layered in there.
Yeah.
And friends, if you haven't taken the time to listen to the single, and we'll be playing snippets, of course, in this episode, and maybe the full Monty at the end if Stayce gives us permission. But there's some very tasty harmony lead guitar work in there, and some great fret work. So it's just kind of the full pack. It's a very neat song. It's atypical.
I really appreciate that.
Let me ask you, Stayce. I've heard you mention, of course, Malcolm Paris on bass, and John, of course, on the drums. Is Freddie involved in this single, and will he be involved with any future material I'll just call it Gravedigger for now?
Well, it is going to be Gravedigger. So although we're not going to go down Iron Maiden graphics, we don't know really. We've got some ideas. Gravedigger is going to be a whole different conversation with you guys, I'm sure. Fred is the thing that always happens with Freddie is life. And it gets in the way, and once again that's reared its head. So we're back to me again. Heartbreaking, but I can never predicate whether or not I'm going to make music based on if there's anyone else around. If it was just down to me, I'd still make a record. I also play drums. I don't play like John, but I can program as good as anybody else that's out there. And I also know a lot of other, all of my drummer friends are great drummers. I mean, people I've played with, one of my drummers is also the drummer for the Commodores. Another one of my drummers is the drummer for Tears for Fears, who actually just recently hit Malcolm up and said, hey, do I get to play on this next record? But John's home. John is home for us. He's our anchor. He's the guy that I've played with some great ones, but he's the guy I want to make all these records with. And the same with Malcolm on bass. Yeah. Not too many people with a hearing challenged bass player that has such a big fat pocket. And so Fred, unfortunately, isn't going to be involved with us anytime in the near future, as far as I can see, but at least you guys got to hang out with him a little bit.
Oh, that was wonderful. Yeah. Well, Freddie, if you ever come across this, buddy, we love you and always will. And
no bad blood at all. It's not that in any way. It's just, he's too busy. He's in the real estate market, and he's just too busy.
Malcolm, we love you and appreciate you, and the same goes for you, John. And man, I always thought Malcolm was the coolest, man. I love his videos where I forgot which one it was, Stayce, but he's sitting there doing a riff, a bass riff on one of the more recent videos, and then he tosses the pick, and I'm like, Malcolm's just so cool, man. He
is the king of cool. That is true.
I'm looking back to my younger days when the innocence of Christmas led me here.
There's two things that are happening next year. One is a full-length Christmas album, and that will have a big part of our focus because we really want to bring some Christmas music that's never been done. I mean, it's going to be, if you've heard Trans-Siberian Orchestra, well, Joel Hoekstra is one of my favorite guitar players. I fell in love with him when he was playing for Night Ranger because I'm a huge Night Ranger fan. We will have some stuff that challenges that. So if you've heard how intense the instrumentation is on Trans-Siberian Orchestra, day at the races, baby. I mean, if we're going to bring it, we're going to bring all of it. So there's going to be some real challenging, real cool melodic stuff. I don't know that I've ever been looked at really as a guitar player because people just really haven't heard. But Evie's gave people a glimpse. But I can assure you, on Gravedigger, we're all comfortable now. So everyone's comfortable in their roles. I have a lot of hats that I got to wear, but I certainly want to make music that not only is going to last, but it's not just for listeners, but players too. So, but yeah, even though Fred won't be involved, he won't Gravedigger or any of that stuff. It's full speed ahead. No, we're probably going to be the most high output band with no label that you've ever seen. And I think when you hear this stuff, it sounds like we have a label, but we don't. But
Yeah, you're definitely doing good quality stuff. That's for
well,
sure.
thanks, Mike. I appreciate that.
All right. So 2022 brings the Braves Christmas album as well as Gravedigger. So that's going to be awesome. Just between you and me and the rest of the world out there who watches this, Stayce, I hope Evie gets to stick around a while. I think she's really cool. So anyway,
She's fun
what
to
do
hang
I
out
know?
with, you know.
Well, friends, this concludes our special Christmas single episode relating to Christmas Every Day, the Christmas single from the Brave. Stayce, we just want to thank you for being our guest again. It's always great talking to you.
I love you guys. Always love to be with you. So you can, you'll have some snippets sent your way, as well as when the vinyl gets here, which it's slated right now for early to mid-January. So the vinyl of Evie's is coming. I'll make sure you all three get one.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Don't ask me for a signature because we're friends. So you don't need any. That's not my thing. Free shipping. I'll send you guys all three an album.
So, Mike, brother, if you would, you want to just take us to scripture closeout?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I figured if you're going to do a Christmas special, you got to do it right. So
take us there, Mike.
Reading from Luke chapter 2, starting in verse 8. Now there were in the same country shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were greatly afraid. Then the angel said to them, do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which will be for all people. For there is born to you this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find a babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Awesome.
Amen.
That's a beautiful scripture.
Now, Mike, were you reading, was that the Bible, or were you plagiarizing the Charlie Brown Christmas special?
No, it's actually, this is the New King James Version here.
That did have that Linus type of vibe.
Yeah, I think Linus actually did his from the actual King James Version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Charlie Brown Christmas special is kind of the quintessential Christmas special.
That was
I had to
totally
borrow from that a little
totally
bit.
cool when that happened, when they did that, So Charles Schultz knew what was up,
Yes, he did.
Anyway, Stacey, thank you, brother. Always a pleasure talking to you.
You guys too, man.
And thank you, friends, for watching. And we wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
and
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
I wish it was Christmas. I wish it was Christmas. I wish it was Christmas.
Hey, friends, welcome to another era. Let me scratch that from the record.
Take two.
That's right.